Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we hear from an Eastern Kentucky police officer and an attorney about what they think of possible changes to Kentucky's statute on murder. And the Laurel County Sheriff's Office seeks to expand its mission to keep drugs off the streets.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. The time is 4:59. I'm Keaton Hall on your Thursday morning. And Brandon, it's getting a little warmer. I feel like the past couple mornings it's just creeped up just a little.
I didn't wear a jacket today, so that's improvement.
There you go. I mean, it's June, so.
Exactly. You know, you wouldn't think you'd need a jacket in June, but here we are.
Yep.
All right, let's get into the forecast this morning. We're going to continue to see, again, not too much going on, but I wanted to show you the last few hours, just to show you that we did have some rain last night. This goes back about 12 hours there, and you can see cleared out overnight, but there for a little while there was some pretty good rain activity out there, but just not a whole lot. So again, that's why we call it scattered rain chances. This morning in Pikeville, we're looking at a little bit of fog, so just be careful out there with that. Some patchy fog is around the region this morning. 62 there, 65 in London, 69 in Monticello right now, 66 Somerset, 62, let's see, nope. Yeah, 62 Middlesboro, 59 in Wise, Irvin, and Moorhead. Ashland, too. Those are some of our cooler spots, along with Clintwood at 56, but a lot of 60s out there this morning. Jacksboro also at 59. Out the door forecast, we are going to see temperatures climb into the low 80s this afternoon. I do believe we keep our chances for spotty showers and storms around, but today they'll be hugging the borders, Kentucky and Tennessee and Virginia. Keaton?
All right, thank you, Brandon. Kentucky lawmakers have proposed an amendment to Kentucky's statute on murder with a potential bill adding more harsh consequences to drug traffickers responsible for overdose-related deaths. WYMT's Jordan Mullins talked with police and a county attorney on what they think about the potential change.
Under current law in Kentucky, prosecution of drug traffickers responsible for overdose-related deaths is a maximum charge of second-degree manslaughter, punishable by 5 to 10 years in prison and a fine between $1,000 and $10,000.
If a suspect sells or gives an individual narcotics and they overdose and they pass away, then now they're held as a manslaughter second. It can be charged manslaughter second.
But Kentucky lawmakers are seeking to make a change. House Bill 388 was introduced earlier this year, amending the definition of murder in Kentucky statutes.
Could be a gift, could be distribution without pay, it could be a trade, it could be your friend giving you something. But if that friend or that drug dealer ultimately gives you something that kills you, then yes, under the proposal, it would become murder as opposed to manslaughter.
While many folks agree with what lawmakers are working towards, some say more needs to be done to ease the burden of proof to prosecute legally.
Kentucky's legislature, if they want to make this modification, is going to have to figure out some way to address that intentional act burden that the court system would have, that prosecutors and police officers would have.
But law enforcement and attorneys believe they and Kentucky's lawmakers are in agreement.
We want to get these dealers of death off the streets. And as we do that, I hope we'll see less overdoses and less drugs in our community.
In the Big Sandy, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
Floyd County Attorney Keith Bartley says he does believe drug traffickers need to face more stiff penalties for causing overdose deaths, but a, quote, monumental overhaul to the criminal justice system, end quote, may be what is needed to accomplish this. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office has had a drug interdiction team for several years, but in January of 2023, it announced it would be expanding this mission. For the last 6 months, the Sheriff's Office has partnered with the London City Police as part of the Laurel County Drug Interdiction Task Force. Gilbert Achardo with the Laurel County Sheriff's Office says this partnership helps both departments cover more ground, and make more drug-related arrests.
And of course, when you have a lot of drug trafficking in an area, you also have an increase in other crimes to include DUIs involved in traffic crashes. You have thefts and burglaries. By us actually getting together and forming a task force like we actually have a lot more resources.
London City Police Chief Chuck Johnson says the task force has worked to remove numerous amounts of meth, fentanyl, and other deadly substances from the streets of Laurel County. One Floyd County church is looking for the people responsible for a vandalism in its fellowship hall. Someone broke into the church's kitchen recently, breaking coffee pots, glass doors, and much more. Community members say it comes as a shock because the space in the church have always served the community with an open door.
We don't have a lot of money here, but anything that we do have, we would gladly give it to anybody. And we would welcome if you need help, come ask us.
Anyone with information about the vandalism can contact Kentucky State Police Post 9 in Pikeville. More flyers saying they are from the Ku Klux Klan are turning up in more Kentucky towns. The latest are in Corbin. It follows reports of KKK papers in Mount Sterling and Paris and possibly other places. Police say they're looking into several complaints. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what's taking place.
Flags to faith-based messages are found throughout Corbin neighborhoods. But this week, something else has been found in yards and driveways, although the homeowners say they didn't put them there.
And we're here to discuss just a little bit about the KKK, whom, should not even be in existence now.
Michael Jones says he's seen dozens of papers folded over throughout the 5th Street and Lee Avenue areas.
We used to pass love letters around in school. Yeah. And that's what they look like, and there was too many of them to be love letters.
Jones says what was in them was far from a love letter. It's propaganda from the Ku Klux Klan, speaking of a neighborhood watch and a directive to report crime and drug dealers.
Let's just try to keep the peace that we have and keep our town held together without the destruction of the help from outsiders that are not needed.
Corbin's police detective tells me that he has also been looking into this, but he says he's not sure if this is simply from the KKK or someone that has found something on the internet, printed them out, and then passing them around to cause trouble. Flyers state they are from the Trinity White Knights.
And that's just trash altogether. It's garbage. Back to the 70s, it was a horrible situation. And as far as racism, we can't fall back in the 19 and 1800s about who owned who.
In Corbin, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Some of the flyers encourage people to call police or report drug or criminal activity, but others simply had an email address to report it directly to the KKK. Monica Hardin, the girlfriend of Stephen Shing, who's accused of killing Scott County Deputy Caleb Conley, is now in custody in Ohio. We told you before she was wanted on theft charges, among others in the state. She appeared in Franklin County Court after being arrested before being sent back to Ohio. She's accused of being with Shing when he reportedly went on the rampage that ended in the deputy's death. It's not clear if she will face more charges in connection to that tragic incident. And an Olive Hill police officer who was injured after being shot at is now out of the hospital. Kentucky State Police told us yesterday he was treated and released after being hurt by broken glass. Police say the suspect shot through the officer's window as he was sitting in his cruiser. 30-year-old Wesley Cornell is now charged with the attempted murder of a police officer and wanton endangerment against an officer. He's in the Carter County Detention Center on a $1 million bond. Thanks for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. Just ahead, scientists across the pond begin clinical trials for a new way to test for a variety of cancers so they can be caught in the early stages.
Story I might check out here in a minute. Scattered storms are possible at times this afternoon, but we're not expecting anything too crazy. I'll track them out for you in about 3 minutes.